You say you get a message when it comes on?
Yeah. Oh, is it just keep going? Oh, I didn't realize you pressed start.
Yeah, I push start.
Oh. Well, then it'll be in notification. Oh, no, it says you're live now.
I'm just
Like
getting
10
the
seconds.
countdown right now.
But we've been set live for like 10 seconds already.
Oh my
What
gosh.
the?
It's so crazy. It's a good thing I know this happens now so that I don't. I mean, I guess if I get caught picking my nose, I get caught picking my nose, but
I mean, it makes for really great screenshots.
does make for great. You know what? Actually, any face I make, I've learned it freezes on really great screenshots. So
Yeah, like
you're welcome. I still don't see me on here, but you've got it. So
yeah.
okay, we're gonna go with that. Hey, welcome to Wednesday, April 10th, for the April 10th edition of Live and Unscripted with your hosts Jennifer and
Leah. Spelled that like J.
yeah. How do we do mine? Jennifer spelled JJ. So we're excited today to bring back a guest that we have had on recently. We'll get to that here in just a minute. But first, just want to say just a big old thank you. Do you need a place to put
No,
that?
it's okay.
Thank you for those of you who share your time and your heart and your thoughts with us. We do this because one, we like it, and two, it's just fun to bring conversation to you and to practice letting inspiration be the guide. Is
Yeah,
that
volume's probably
is
up.
that mine?
Probably.
We're just I forgot to check volumes and such. No, go down, down. Okay. Um. So this is a podcast where it started out as an actual podcast on a different platform called Living Courageously Exposed, where I met random people across the world and found out cool things about them and then said, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast with me?" And we had these beautiful conversations. And I got tired of doing the production side of things. So now I just changed it. I bring it here and I do it live where I get to practice being nervous because a lot of the times I don't know my guest. I have no idea really where the conversation's going to go because on this particular podcast, we let inspiration be the guide. And we practice being human. We practice meeting people right here in front of you and learning how to ask questions and how to listen so we know how to ask questions. And um, I really enjoy the conversations that come out of all of this. And oh, we got another one of our former guests on that we need to bring on. Hey, Luba, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. So this is what we do. We bring on cool people or people who have great stories or things to share, and we just talk live. We just let humanists be humanists here, and um,
We're super excited about today's guest.
I'm so excited. I was working myself into breathing.
Oh, yeah?
So before we start with our guests, we do practice breathing. And today, I was thinking about it, and we're just going to keep it super simple, and we're just going to invite you to breathe. Nothing special, no specific patterns, no breathing in the positive and exhaling the negative. Even though I don't really love those words, high vibe, low vibe. Um, Today, I had the thought to just invite you to breathe, to just take a downward gaze or to close your eyes. We're going to do this with you. We're going to do it for about 30 seconds. Hand on heart. Thank you for that. If for those of you who want a little extra connection, and just feel yourself breathe. Notice, are you breathing mostly in your shoulders? Are they raising when you're breathing? Or can you feel it down in your belly? And if it's if up in your chest, I'm going to invite you to push it down a little farther. Breathe a little slower and a little deeper, and just notice your breathing and any thoughts that come with it. So, with that, downward gaze or closed eyes, whichever feels most comfortable to you, and just enjoy 30 seconds of breathing. And when you're ready, feel free to open your eyes. And hey, Leah, what's the one thing we can't live without?
Breathing.
Breathing. That was not a bad dad joke or mom joke. That was like legit breathing. So I'm going to invite you to just take time every day, even if it's 30 seconds, to just slow down and breathe. Close your eyes. If you're in the car and you're at a stoplight or you're behind, I call it taillight breathing. Let those taillights be a cue for you to just breathe, to just slow down for a second, to let go of stuff that's already happened, to let go of stuff you think is going to happen, and to just slow down. Let your head and your heart and your gut come into just moments of coherence and notice how it serves you. So there's a lot we could talk on breathing, but we have way exciting things to talk about today. And so I'm just gonna, without any further ado, I'm going to bring on our former guest, our friend, our colleague, our friend. I already said friend. She's our friend. Jane. We call her Jane Storm. Let's bring her on.
All right.
Did I mention she's our friend?
Yeah.
Okay, you just do it right.
I know, but it was still in the other kind of stream that we do on.
Oh, because we've changed it. Yes, yes.
Because you got to have friends.
That's right.
To make it all feel right. Because you got to have friends. Hi.
I love it. I love
Miss
it.
Jane, so good to see you.
We're gonna adjust. We have a heater on over
you
here.
guys.
We're gonna adjust it just a little bit.
Was that too loud?
No. The heater is a little on the hot side, so we're just gonna pull it back a little bit.
Oh, I brought the heat.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
There you
you
go.
did.
Yeah.
As always. All right. So
Look at this radiant soul. Oh my gosh.
I love it. I
Oh.
actually am gonna just kind of turn this over to you today because you had more. So let's just quick background for those of you who may not have watched already the Jane Storm edition of Live and Unscripted. Go to the Righteous Rebels Facebook page or to therighteousrebels.com. Say your part.
/live and unscripted.
/live and unscripted. And we have all of our, within the last year or so, Live and Unscripted housed there. And you can go find Jane's edition and meet her formally. You can pause right now and go do that, or you can pause later and go do that. Your choice. We're good with either. But we're happy to bring her back today. And so I was giving you an introduction of why we know her. We all met in India. Jane was part of what got us to India, and Luba, who I don't know if Luba's still watching us, but Luba's part of that hooliganish that took place over there. And there we go. We're pulling up the podcast again, where my face is frozen on a weird shot. So we met Jane in India, and a lot happened in India, and a lot has continued to happen since then. And we've done some collaborations, and that's what today's podcast is about, is the collaborations that have been taking place, and about having a dream, and about having, a desire and things you're wanting to build and create, and the process that it takes to make those things happen. And today is the unveiling of one of those amazing things. And so with that, I'm actually just going to turn the time over to Leah, because she was more of this process. I was more of an outsider's view and just got to throw my voice in a few times. But I'm going to let Leah and Jane talk about this process, and I cannot wait. I can't wait. I love what I got to observe of it and how it happened, and to be able to bring it to you today is just like,
Luba says, I'm here. Hey, Luba.
Yay!
There's so much
Do we need more light?
to
Keep
chat
going.
about, Jane. Since the last time we had you on Live and Unscripted, there's been a lot of change in your world. Do you want to start? What's that?
You guys keep freezing on me. I don't know if it's
Oh,
my end.
We're not freezing on our end.
All right, I don't know what's going on here. Technology's great, except when it's not. So,
Right.
So if you hear me, if I'm a little slow today, you'll know.
Oh, now you're freezing.
Yeah, it's on her end.
Dang. Jane, are you there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. Since I don't know if you heard my question, but since we had you back, actually it'll be almost a year. May 31st was the last time.
That was when our interview was?
Yeah.
Oh my
May
gosh.
31st last year.
It doesn't seem that long ago.
And she's gone.
And she's gone.
Bye, Jane.
Oh, shoot.
So
Well,
I
we
guess
interviewed her on May 31st.
Maybe she'll come back.
Okay,
I'm
so
not
until
sure.
then, like, do you want to talk about?
Well, I don't want to take.
I know we don't want to steal her thunder, but
Yeah.
is there something on your heart that you'd like to talk about?
I don't know. This is about Jane and the project and all of that stuff. So
until she comes back, why don't you talk about projects that you've put together and kind of like how it comes to form for you? Like, where does that like dreamy state, like idea, how does that formulate for you? And then how do you move forward in making that thing come to actual physicality?
Okay. Wow. That just went in a totally, I can share how much I love the cards. Okay. So
I love it.
I love it, Luba.
Luba, do we need to just give you a link until Jane gets on here?
That would be fun.
Let's do
we
that.
could do like a 4-way.
Hey, we can do whatever the heck we want here.
Yeah, so I'm an artist and I'm also a writer. So I do a lot of different projects, and part of what my incentive has been over the last couple years is really in the last year getting more clear on that I feel like I was put on this planet. Oh, there's Jane.
Work.
Okay.
Awesome.
Perfect.
We were
There.
just about to bring Luba on in your place for a moment.
What was I talking about? I don't even
The
know.
process.
Oh,
getting clear
just
on.
part of my mission and why I feel I'm on this planet is to help bring people's ideas and visions to life. And I really, one of the most exciting things for me I've learned is taking people's ideas and mirroring them back to them. So and showing,
which you're good at.
yeah, and showing people the possibilities and what things can look like. So I was just kind of filling in space, Jane, while you were gone.
Good. That's
So,
excellent. That's why we're a team. Because
yeah.
that's what we do well, right? Make sure that we're all together, and when one thing goes wrong, one of us steps in.
For sure. So my question to you, I don't know if you heard it, was last time we saw you here on Live and Unscripted, it was May 31st, and a lot has changed in your world since then. Do you want to share a little bit about the refocusing on Jane Storm, or what that looks like for you, or whatever feels relevant?
Yeah. So in November, I reinvigorated Jane Storm to the next level. And what is Jane Storm?
Yeah.
It's about people. My mom said I came out of the womb and all I cared about were people. So Jane Storm is coaching. I am an ICF, International Coach Federation, professional coach. I'm also a strengths coach. I do workshops all over the world. I work with nonprofits. I work in government. I work with corporate. My whole goal is to get people to their power, whatever that looks like. And it's all through hope, holding on to positive energy.
Oh, I love that.
And so, when you do that, you create this connection and community that builds on itself. And so people that I've known since I'm 3 to people that I met 3 days ago are now part of my community. And my goal is to just make the world a better place. And how do we do that? By asking powerful questions, by having compassion, leaving our expectations and our egos and assumptions at the door, and being authentic. And did you guys know there's a difference between being authentic and vulnerable? I heard this recently. When you say you're authentic, you say, I'm sick today. When you say you're vulnerable, You say, I'm sick today because last night I ate a whole entire thing of beans and I was sick all night. So you
Oh,
give the because. When you're just authentic, which is important, we need to be authentic. However, when you go to that deep dive of vulnerability, whoa, the world opens up.
Love it.
I love that, Jane.
I love it.
It makes me think of just when we saw each other back in November, and it brings me to your power versus force dynamic. Do you want to touch on that just for anyone who hasn't experienced?
Before you go there, though, you brought up hope. Where does hope come from you? Like why have you built I can't say most, a lot of what you do around hope. In fact, what we're revealing today deals a lot with hope.
You know, it's something that was ingrained in me since I was a little girl. I used to meet the Vietnamese refugees at JFK, and I'd go with my mom. I was one of 4 kids, but I was the one that went with her for some reason. And on December 5th, when I was 5 years old, I went and met Leah Smiley, who was one of our family friends' adoptees, and I gave her my Barbie doll. And I knew from that moment on that I was going to adopt, or I was going to be involved in that world, because I believed in possibilities and I saw the possibilities. And, fast forward to in my 30s, and we adopted my son, who I don't even think of him as adopted anymore. I have adopted kids in India, but my son has just been with us since he was 4 days old, and he brought hope, because really to me there's a combination of hope and love, and really hope does not mean that there aren't things that go wrong. It means that even when things are not going our way, it gives us the ability to look forward with strength. So there are things that happen in our life. I lost my mom on April 21st last year. She was my biggest representation of hope. I've seen so many examples of hope in my life. And it's really, when you have possibilities, when you have strength, and when you look at things from a way of wanting to teach others as well as learn for yourself, there's hope.
So what was it about your mom that was the biggest representation of hope? Like that's a big statement.
So, I'll give you an example. She was diagnosed with cancer in December 2020. And my mom was vibrant. She, just a vibrant soul. And when she got diagnosed, she got through the first half of it okay. And she was doing great. And then last January, we had to sit down with hospice because we found out that the chemo wasn't working. And she looked at and it was just me and her and the hospice nurse. And she looked at the hospice nurse and said, now I have to figure out how I continue to live and share love while I know I'm dying. And I have to be okay so that I can teach others how they can be okay with me going. That to me was representing hope. Yeah. Until the day we lost her, she absolutely was using her wisdom to teach us how to get through the possibilities of how we were going to live without her in this world, knowing that she's coming through to us with all different signs every day, all day.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. It makes me want to go to what are those signs for you? Like hope can be so broad. What gives you hope on in your day-to-day experience?
Birds. There's a cardinal that comes to visit. He was here a little while ago. The night my mom died, we moved from where we were sitting in the dining room and moved to another place where we had never sat in her condo. And my sister looked out and she said, Janie, look. And there was an absolutely gorgeous barred owl that we had not seen in months. So there are absolutely signs. I'm living in her house. We have reinvigorated it and kept her alive here and brought in our own energy. but she is here with us. And then a funny story is that I was supposed to take Uber. I went on a retreat this past week with Luba, and I got to speak about strengths with the dash of hope at a workshop there in Tulum, Mexico. And I was supposed to take Uber, ended up on Lyft, and met this amazing woman who's going to have to come on the show. She has a website called happyhuman.love, and she's a happy human. I mean, what was the chance that I was going to meet a happy human? And she drives Lyft, got 6 kids. She drives Lyft because she wants to lift other people's spirits.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Last night, after she picked me up and we became instant friends, she came to dinner with friends of mine and I last night. And I found out her birthday is the day after my mom's. And one of my mother's very good friends is one of her friends.
Oh.
My mom brought her to me. PETA is in my life because of Peg Buckley.
Oh, that's so
super
amazing. Cool. I love that. The serendipity of that.
I also love how in the project that we're going to unveil here in just a little bit, how your mom is all over that project.
Yes, she is. Totally and completely. She and I talked about this a lot. She was instrumental in me moving forward with this. She was instrumental in, she lived with watching me work and put in, tremendous amount of hours and effort, and was so excited to know that I was going to be doing Jane Storm, a positive force for your future.
I love it. So do you want to talk about
wait, before we go there though, I interrupted your question about the power versus force stuff,
right?
So that we could talk a little bit more about hope. So can we go back there first?
This was life-changing for me. I learned this actually from a woman named Brooke Boone who runs Holy Yoga. And I was at a retreat 4 years ago, and she introduced David Hawkins' Power versus Force to me, and it was mind-blowing.
It's an incredible book.
This is what I give out, and I'm going to just tell you about it. When you're you have the chance to vibrate at a low level or a high level in every single interaction you have. And when you are vibrating at a low level, you are in force. And what does that look like? It looks like pride, fear, blame, anger, shame, anxiety, defense. And so when you're having those feelings, you think to yourself, how do I get to the next level? And the next level is just courage, neutrality. Try not to let it bother you. But really where you want to go is to your strengths and your power, which is facts, acceptance, and understanding, and reason, and just joy and love. And so when you have all of that, you are vibrating at a higher level, and everybody around you feels the energy. There are people, and so you can go as high as 900. There are only 12 people on the earth that vibrate at a 900. And when you're vibrating at a higher level, you're then creating waves of vibrations of like 70,000 to 70 million, and it makes a difference. And so I believe in teaching force versus power everywhere I go, because you really could step back and look at it and say, where am I today? Where am I at this moment? Like right now, at this moment, I am in my strengths. I am in love and understanding and facts and feeling damn good about being with 2 of my favorite people on the planet, about to unveil one of my favorite projects I've ever worked on.
I actually have taught the power versus force for a long time. Like, it was life-changing for me as well. And so I loved it when I learned that was part of what you did as well. And you presented the card that you did to all of us in November. I was like, this is rad. Like, I love to see how different people use that concept in their coaching and in their lives. And so it's fun that you toss it in with yours as well.
And mine is totally not science. Like, a lot of people come from the science space, and that's not who I am. To me, this hit me at my gut. And I'll just tell you a quick story. My son, He and I are in a phenomenal place in 2024. But during the pandemic, we were having some issues. And he wanted to have a really in depth, deep conversation with me and let me know how he'd been hurt by me over the years.
Sure.
And my husband didn't want him to let him do it. And I said, you know what, Bri, that's not fair. My mom, as much as I say she was amazing, when I was a child, from 50 on, that woman evolved. But as a single mother of 4 kids, it was not always easy for her to be a mother or for us to be the kids of that mother.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she wasn't always able to own that. And I said, I've got to own this in order to heal my relationship with my son. And I sat down with this card. And while he was telling me things, I thought, okay, well, I'm his mother. That's the way it's supposed to be. Supposed to. There's no supposed to's in life.
Right.
And then there were the aha moments where he got vulnerable and he told me things and I had no idea what I had done, what my part of it was. And I owned it and it healed us and we were able to move on. When you can look at yourself and see when you're in force, and you can say, how do I get to my strengths? And you allow others to share with you feedback. It's life changing, it's growth. And we all need to grow as long as we're alive. We need to learn and grow as long as we're alive.
Yeah. If we're not growing, we're slowly dying.
One of the fascinating things in regards to that, Jane, that I think blew my mind while reading and learning about this concept is how he points out, David Hawkins writes the book, and how he points out that most of us will only shift 5 or 10 points in our entire lives. We can shift up and down as much as we want, but that most of us will only shift a very little amount because it feels scary to shift out of who we think we are and to do those things. And so, we all have room and we all have space and there's plenty of room. And so this is my encouragement along with Jane. I don't know if she's on that side. She is to me. To like learn these concepts, find someone who teaches it, read the book and grow, like have the courage to grow.
Yeah. I have to tell you that while we've been on this, there is a dragonfly about this big flying right outside this window. I've never seen a dragonfly out here. And one of my best friends, Pam McCann, 2 weeks ago, gave me this dragonfly.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Oh, wow. Will you hold it closer to the camera so we can see the...
So talk about a sign.
Wow.
Wow. So I love dragonflies. I call them fairies.
Well, the fairies are right outside my window.
Yay!
Wow.
Yay. Does that mean we should get down to business?
Yeah, you've got me kind of in this idea. Your story, Jane, has got my mind going in like about owning it and healing relationships. And when you say own my part of it, is that
can be tricky.
I feel like that can be tricky because I think of my own experience in being a mom that was struggling raising kids, as we all do at some point in our kids' lives, but recognizing, I made some mistakes, but like how do you own it without getting into defending yourself and recognizing, yes, I did harm, but also not knowing. I think of your story, like you had no idea that was even happening and how, I don't know, is it trying to build understanding, or is it just, I did that and that's it, or this is why? Like, I'm just curious what that dynamic is for you.
So, on the back of the card, I have how you shift into your strengths. And this is part of what happens. It's self-awareness. So the first thing is to actually look at yourself and not get defensive. That's what the front is for, to say, okay, how can I listen to this and not be in force, right? And the second is transparency, to be transparent and figure out what that looks like. It's going to be different for everyone. Embrace it.
Well, You say that, like you say, embrace it. You say, look at it. It can be really challenging to do that when like, and to not take it personally, to recognize that we as a human, like a spirit, I like to say we're spiritual beings having human experience, but as a human, like, we want to take all that really personal instead of recognizing that we're learning and growing as well, and we're making mistakes along the way as we're trying to raise these little humans. And who knows, like, how do you recommend not taking things personally as you're becoming transparent and owning it and all of that process?
It's not in page 372 of the parenting manual.
Right? I'm really
if I had that answer, I'd be a billion. I mean, I forget it. This is all about, we're all learning as we're going along. Yes. There's no right answer to this. When I talk about strengths, I talk about, I could meet someone that has the same strengths as I do. That person had completely different experiences than I did. Every one of us has a thumbprint. We're unique. So what I worked for me may not work for someone else.
Who just did that? How did that just happen?
Maybe it was
that was cool. Did you see it, Jane?
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, look at that. That's so
who's doing that? Own up to that right now.
That's so funny.
It's probably Luba.
To me, this is where you have to stay grounded in your strengths and navigate your own goddamn lane. Don't get involved in everybody else's lane.
How do you? I'm a full-on believer in that, like 100%. But how do you own your strengths, Jane, when you're not sure what they are and you don't know someone who does strength coaching?
Well, I mean, you can get in touch with me at janestorm.com, and you can, start to think about one of the things I do with coaching. I have some pretty high-powered people in a nonprofit bank, and they don't understand their power, right? There's a lot of confidence that's lacking at times. So, having people go and ask others, what do you see in me? What
that takes vulnerability.
What are my strengths? Also, one of the things Luba talked about today on LinkedIn was feedback, right? When you ask for feedback, or like with me, when I got the feedback, I could have handled it very differently. I have done enough work on myself that I went into it. If I had not known about power versus force, I don't think I could have done it. I really don't. I also, I wrote a letter to myself this weekend about ego. I was talking about how much ego was around, but really it's my ego. So it's putting ourselves in check and taking the deep dive of, how much of this do I own, and what's the story I'm telling myself?
I love that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think that piece can feel very tricky when we're in interactions with people that go sideways, or in relationships that don't work the way we intended or wanted or expected, and how easily all of that, like, to actually stand in your own power and your own strengths, own your own shit, and to go and to be able to say, let's find a way to work this out, instead of letting it get ugly. And what I'm finding is that in my own experience is that people are so accustomed to having, so in changing of relationships, in my own, it's painful, but it's been a beautiful experience, because we've chosen to work together, and it freaks people out.
Yeah.
They're like, but
yeah,
because they don't want to own their stuff.
And it's important. One of the things I heard this year, I've spent a lot in the last 6 months wanting closure.
Yeah.
And one of the things I read that was, a light bulb moment that I say every single day is, closure is a scam. Closure is what you. And the other thing is communication. And you can only worry about your side of the street, right? So everything else you have to let go of and release. That is probably, as a control freak,
That's challenging.
That what I'm working on this year is letting go, releasing it, sending out love to the universe, being so freaking grateful for all of the lessons, all of the love, and everything that's come in between. That if the relationship has to take a break, it has to take a break. I have to let it go. It's out of my control. There's only so much you can control, and you can't control how others think about you, how others feel about you, how others treat you. You can just control how you react to it.
For sure. Well, and I think when you come from that place, and one, you come from a place of empathy, compassion, and looking at a bigger picture, and you don't take those things personally. Like I think of relationships in my life, like where they had a big impact on my life and how my life was shaped. But I'm in a place where I don't hold them accountable for anything, like anything at all, because my life needed to unfold that way so I could develop in a way that serves my highest good today. Like I wouldn't be who I am had I not had those experiences. So I think there's a empowering element when we can let go of holding other people accountable for how our life turned out. And I think I'm just reverse dynamic of that in other places in my life.
Yeah, and my mom would say that we're all each other's teachers, right? So,
Yeah.
what's the lesson? And if, by the way, you get the lesson more than once,
Pay attention. Oh my gosh, pay attention.
and by the way, if you get the lesson more than once and you're trying to blame someone else, pull out the power versus force and start to look at what's my role in this.
Well, and sometimes in my own coaching, I teach that similar thing. Like we're going to get the lesson more than once because we can only learn sometimes so much of that thing. And it's not, I like to look at life as a spiral. We're leveling up, we're approaching, we're raising our vibe and our energy. And I'll get frustrated. I'll be like, I've been here. I've already done this. And then I go, but wait, I have a different feel about it. I'm actually learning something new or different or higher level of this same thing. It's not the same thing at that point, but to just be gentle with yourself also as you move through something, you're like, but I've already done that. Like recognize you're getting new understanding on a similar topic. Be gentle.
And the word that comes to mind for me is grace. Give yourself, as a parent, partner, as a friend, as a mentor, all of the above. Give yourself grace. Once again, there's not a manual on being human. There are a lot of people that have a lot of tools. There are many, many tools out there. So you can figure out a tool that works for you in one area. However, you may have some growth to do in another area.
Right. So, and also to remember that a tool that worked for someone else may not work for you. You may need a little different model or design of a similar tool, but it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So be patient in finding the ones that do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Jane, I feel like we've opened up a can.
I know. I love it.
I want to rein us back into why we're here today. Like what is exciting news that we wanted to share?
I know, like how do we want to do this? Do we want to start really? So we have plenty of time, but do we want to start with how it became an idea for you, Jane? Like I just want to do the drum roll because I'm so excited.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much energy that went behind this. I was coaching.
Who's this?
After 32 years of working at Verizon, I left and then I became a coach. And in the meantime, in 2020, I started spending a lot of time in my mom's house. And while I was coaching, I would pull cards for people. Anywhere.
Now, when you say cards, sorry. When you say cards, I just totally yelled in Leah's ear. What do you mean by cards? Do you have an example of what you would pull for people?
So I would pull an angel card.
Okay, cool.
And so, like just guess what? I just pulled an 8 card and I got kindness.
Kindness.
What does it say, Jane?
Yes, a kind gesture rekindles your belief in the power of love. Remember to be kind to yourself. Were we not just saying that? So
Yeah.
what happened is people started to say, Jane, could you pull me a card? And I'd get texts from people in the middle of the night. Maybe some even the people that are here would say, Jane, can you pull me a card? And so in the meantime, I was working with this amazing woman, Rose Christmas, and I said, I want to come up with a deck of cards. I want to come up with a Jane Storm deck of hope. And I talked to my husband about it. My sister Maggie, also, she's a card reader. She actually reads cards for a living. She is a hair traffic controller. She works in a salon. She owned a salon at one point. She's gone back now and now works in a salon. She is the front desk person that makes sure everything is running well and calls herself
hair traffic. I was like, did I hear that correctly? Hair traffic control. That's awesome.
So Maggie and I have this intuitive sense, and after the last 4 years of spending time together, caring for our mom, we actually say the same things at the same time. We're very different. She is uber organized. She is very discerning. She does not collect people. She likes people, but she does not collect them. Very, very different. But she has taught me so very much. And so,
wait, I have to pause you, Jane. Is this where the I'm going to be OCD one day comment
I thought
comes
that too.
in?
I'm like, don't wish OCD on yourself.
it's not happening. I have no, and I am also not persnickety. I am a control freak, but many people in my family are persnickety. That is not a Jane Storm trait. It's not
That's
a
just such a great word, persnickety.
Persnickety means that you have to have things done a certain way. You have to have the table set a certain way. You have to load the dishwasher a certain way. You have to organize your drawers a certain way. You have to.
Are you sure that's persnickety?
Yes. Why? Do we have
No.
someone on here that may be persnickety?
No. That is not persnickety.
I think you both
Excuse me. What's the story you're telling yourself, Jen? Anyway, so
I like to know where things are if I have to find them in the dark. Okay.
Okay. Yes. So anyway, I had decided I wanted to come up with a deck of cards. So I started with words because I've always been someone that loves words. I love. So I started to create a list of words and definitions. And originally I had come up with quotes and I had put all of this together and then I let it go dormant. Absolutely let it go dormant because I was working on so many other things that meant the world to me. The last 3 years, I worked on projects that changed my life.
Sure.
Changed my life. And so I put Jane Storm and the Deck of Hope on the back burner. And then in November, I was talking to Leah, and we had talked about it one other time. I had seen her artwork after going to India. I had known that we would work well together. And I went to her and I said, Leah, I'd like you to be the artist on my Jane Storm Deck of Hope. And we started to collaborate and we started to work together. And then about 2 months into it, there was a conversation we had, and Jennifer came in with her authentic, vulnerable self and started to ask me questions and brought me to another level and Leah to another level of what was this going to look like. And it was true collaboration. And then from there, I didn't share it with many people. My husband, Brian, who has been a supporter of me, we're going to be married 30 years in November. Someone just asked us the other day if we're newlyweds. I mean, we are still loving life. Well, he is my biggest supporter and one of my easiest relationships in life. And my sister Maggie and one of my friends, Nancy and Rose Christmas, all helped me to get to the next level with this, as well as you two, Leah and Jen. And so what we did is we came up with 6 categories. And it was really, I think of my friend Galena talking about being versus doing. And so there were being categories and doing categories. And we're going to start with the whale. And this is strength. And if you
hold it a little closer to the camera, there you go.
When you get close up, you can actually see there's a pineapple in there. And what does that mean? You know, my mom lived in Kauai. My son and I spent, when he was first adopted, we spent 3 months in Kauai together. We'd look at the whales. And there's a big joke in my family that I would say, look, there's a whale at 1 o'clock. And I'd be talking to the whales and screaming at the whales. And so the whale means strength and so much to me. And so that was the first one. And then it was really about hope, right? That's really what this is all about. And I love lighthouses and the third eye, and then we've got the dragonfly butterflies in here. We've got the sun and the moon and henna, because that made such an impact on me in India.
This particular piece, when you're talking about hope, and I got to observe how all of this took place. Like, I watched them come to life from start to finish. And this piece is always intriguing to me because this is like its fourth. Yeah. This is its fourth rendition. And she would start over and I'd be like, what are you doing? You're so far into this. And, just that hope of like how it was going to turn out. And the envision of like, this isn't really my work and it doesn't have the right feel. And just the continual process of moving through this to get that card and that lighthouse is just, I am still blown away at watching the process of all of that. Yeah.
And then we went to, when my dad died. So my dad died when I was 25. And it was 3 days before his 60th birthday. Anne-Marie, if she ever watches this, will say maybe it was 4 days. I may be off by a day. Anne-Marie is my other sister. And we were having a 60th birthday party for him. This was before cell phones. And there were people traveling from California to come in to New York to come for a party. And they found out that my father died suddenly of a heart attack. Mm. But the next day, a ladybug landed on me. And from that moment on, I have been in Cancun. I have been in Las Vegas. I have been all over the world. I've been up in upstate New York in a snowstorm, and there's been one ladybug. And so I know that, and then my friend John died, and others have died, my friend Luke, and they come back to me as a ladybug. And so, and it's all about thriving. And I love the mountains and what's burning inside of us. And so, and the pine cone. And Leah, I'd love for you to explain what the pine cone means to you, because that was a significant piece of how this card came together.
Do you mind if you go through the cards and then I'll talk about the process?
Yeah. And then we went to action. And my mom was known. So my sister Anne-Marie had the first baby, and her name is Caitlin, and she's 30 some odd years old, mother of 3 kids. And when my mom went to visit her after she was born, she would show up. Her other grandmother lived right down the block. So my mom would show up with a little bottle of bubbles, and it was a bear. And so she started to be called Grandma Bubbles because she would blow bubbles. And so everybody in the family called her Grandma Bubbles. And so I told Luba that. And so she drew a card. Once again, the dragonfly and the bubbles. And of course, to me, that's Jennifer leaping in the sky. Because when I think of action, I think of Jennifer. And so, that whenever I look at this, I smile. I think, okay, what would Jen want me to do right now? And so that's the action that comes from this card.
I love it.
We've got this one, which maybe, oh my God, I love them all. This just has a beautiful piece in my heart, because my whole goal with these cards is that once you pick the first one, you are now part of the Jane Storm Hope Activator community. And what does that look like? It looks like igniting hope, spreading joy, and inspiring greatness around the world. And so with that came connectedness. And I
really like this one. Just say it.
And this is the angel, and we have a gold heart holding the gold heart, as well as a gold heart in the earth. And, that's another, Peg Buckley's involved in this. My mama, in the middle of her treatment, had to have heart surgery, and there was a blip in her heart. And the cardiologist came in and said to her, Peg, you have a golden heart. And my mom said, well, if I've got a golden heart, everybody must have a golden heart. So she went home to her best friend at the time, who was Alexa, and she went on Amazon and she asked Alexa, can you order me golden hearts? And 3 years prior to my mom becoming an angel, she gave out golden hearts around the world, which I and my sisters have proceeded to do.
Yes,
And so that's the real connectedness with this. And then the last one was the one that we worked on the longest, the owl. We knew we wanted an owl in here. We knew the wisdom was coming, and it took a little bit of time to get it, to be it. And the funny thing is, it was after I sent Leah a picture of an owl that's in my mom's house that looks curious that we landed on this.
Yeah, that owl, when I think of an owl, I think of like stern and wisdom and like, but when it was a picture you sent me, it's like a ceramic owl with big wide open eyes. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I thought horned owl, and that was the intention.
You need to be the hoot owl.
The hoot owl.
And this is all about serenity. So we've got the poses in there. We've got waterfalls. We've got the forest. We've got the colors. I told Leah the colors I love. I told her the things I love. And then I worked on the words and she worked on everything else. And we collaborated, and this is what we came up with.
So what I loved about this process was just how you gave me creative license to really just take some of the pieces that you had envisioned, or things, like you said, things that you like, or colors, and really, just settle into what does serenity look like? What does it feel like? What does connection feel like? And when I had trouble with action, I remember messaging you. I'm like, so what comes to mind for you with action? And I was really surprised at your answers, because I think action for me is like, it reminds me more of force. Like I think of weightlifting, or I think of running, or I think like more things like that. But when you said bubbles and dragonflies, I was like, oh yeah, of course, there's lots of action in there. And there was a gentleness that helped me redefine what that even means in my world. But I loved getting to just play in that space. Strength was another one. I don't know. I keep going to the gym and bodybuilding when I think of those words, but that it became more about, when you mentioned a pineapple, I think of one of my favorite quotes is like, be more like a pineapple, straighten your crown, stand tall, and be sweet on the inside. Right. Like that's one of my favorite things. And, the pine cone is super interesting, because it just, I don't know. I think it was near December, and it was a very mild December in Canada, and you just see the pine cones everywhere. And I just kept having this idea of pine cones, and what does that mean? And usually when that happens, when I'm doing art, it's like there's a meaning to it, but I don't quite understand what it is. And I went through I'd never drawn a pine cone.
I don't
before.
know how to draw a pine cone. Then she popped off. This is the second version. I was like, what do you mean you don't know how to draw a pine cone?
But I think what's beautiful about
own it.
It's beautiful to have a place for things to come through and to access a deeper meaning that I'm not even consciously aware of, but that it's sending a message. And I think that's what's been beautiful about this collaboration is you're a very feeling soul, and connecting to my feeling soul and this feeling soul, and it just gave a beautiful fertile ground for something beautiful to emerge from it and grow. And none of these were planned. They evolved in that process.
Well, and what I loved as an outsider of actually watching you do the art and you two work together on talking on things is one, that you gave permission, Jane, for creative license. Like, I trust you, and I'm going to give you the things, and I'm going to let you, because it opened up a whole new, like, I watched it open up for her. Like, wait, I can do this in a way that feels good for me too, and not have to try and create a picture to someone else's idea in their head. And then to see, oh, my thought just lost. Oh, she started working on a picture. And then she's like, I can't just do this one at a time. She worked on all of them simultaneously. She's like, I have to have 6 pieces like out, and I have inspiration on this one, so I'm going to work on it. Like, it was so cool to watch her go through that process, but then to talk back, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then we haven't talked about the other side of them, right? So, you know, we had come up with the 6 sides, and then it was like, now how are we going to present these? And actually, that was the first thing we did, you know, or we did that piece, and then it was like, well, how are these going to look? And, you know, that was another thing, you know, figuring out. So when you do pick these cards, you know, you're picking from a different, you know, a suit, essentially, right? So you're picking, you're going to get a serenity, and there are 9 in each suit, and what does that look like, and how do you pick it? So I'm going to pick a card and see what comes out.
Yeah.
So, we go. I got clarity.
Yep.
Which is in which category, Jane?
No surprise that it's in my, you know, and so what it says is, and you know, one of the things my sister, God, she's so brilliant. She said to me, Janie, why are you using other people's quotes? Why aren't these coming from you? And that was an aha moment. And so we worked on, and I worked on coming up with what are my words. And so clarity is illuminate your path, grasp the facts, and forge ahead with unwavering determination.
Yeah.
And,
I love that.
Go ahead.
You have the explanation of the strength card, what that means, and then 8 words that also support the strength card, right? And other
people liked, you know, I brought these to Mexico, and people got excited when they pulled one of the white cards, because what we did is, you know, I'm all about gifts and making things fun, and so if you pull a strength card, it's a bonus card. So then you got to pull another, which people love. So
this morning we both got to pull extra cards.
Right? Wasn't that fun? So this one says, strength is the inner fortitude that propels us forward, allowing us to face challenges with courage and determination, and to inspire others with purpose and clear actions.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull another card because I just got that. So let's see. Let's see. So, I got serenity. There's my owl. And I got wonder.
Yes, wonder.
Keep wondering, keep exploring, and you'll find wisdom in every adventure. You know, when I was in Tulum this past weekend, after we had massages one day, and I would tell them, I would talk to the birds and whatever. I walked out of the massage area, and there was an entire family of monkeys there. I was the only one that saw. I have wonder. Cool. I'm always looking up and around, and I actually have a Facebook page. Look up, look around, look ahead, because I'm always in wonder, always looking to see. I love taking pictures. I love capturing moments. I love being in wonder.
No, it's
an
beautiful.
Amazing place to be. You were finishing a statement about the artwork though, and a feeling. Do you remember what that was? I'd love to hear.
I think it was just really being able, because of who you are, Jane, and how you trusted the process of how this would look, and you trusted my ability to bring that to life. But I just appreciate like that I could honor myself, but also honor your vision, and that we could combine that together.
It was easy. It was beautiful. You know, one of the things that Jen, Leah, and I have spent the last year talking about is really going from beautiful, which is their word, to blooming. And, and this to me was that process of, digging deep, uh, really looking at what I wanted, being able to share that with you and have you understand it, and then get this, which I love everything about it. And so excited because of this, Leah and I have decided that we're actually going to collaborate on a children's book. So that's going to come next.
Yes. I am super excited for that. And I love the story that you share about Grandma Bubbles and how she would give that to everyone. Like, and I could just see that being a part of the Book of Hope. That's not the title, but just that project. And I'm super excited for that.
Yeah. So it's the decks are out. They've started to go out. As soon as you pick your first card, you are then part of the Jane Storm Hope Activator community. There will be monthly meetings starting probably not next month, but in June. My birthday is in June. I am going to start running worldwide Zoom monthly meetings about hope, and where people could come in and share how they're holding on to positive energy and what that looks like, and start to build that community so that at some point, the littles to the elders feel it, believe it, and want to do more.
I love it.
I'm just sharing your website where you're selling them and where people can find them. So order your Jane Storm Deck of Hope.
And I decided today that I will be out of the proceeds, $1 from every deck of cards will be going to a charity. Still working on what that is, and we may do monthly. I'm still working through that, but that's an important part of what I've learned over the last, almost 60 years of my life is when we're kind and we give hope and we share. My mother used to say, the more you give, the more you get. And so as I look at this, that is my way of honoring Peg Buckley, is by giving $1 of each deck to something and someone that will need it.
I love it.
I love that.
Very cool. Oh my gosh. Thanks for letting us be a part of this. It was really cool.
Thank you. Jennifer, I met you first. There was an instantaneous click with us, and then Leah came along, and it is it's enriching to have the two of you in my life.
You.
And I thank you.
Thank you.
We feel very similar. It's fun to have. It's just fun to have high vibe people that we get to collaborate with, and then we can say, "Hey, will you pull us a card?"
That's right.
But just people that we can, share heart to hearts and bring our individual joy, but then our collective joy and hope to the world. So it's been really fun. I wasn't sure what was going to take place actually why I felt this pull to go to India. I knew, again, I will forever say this. It wasn't for the reason I was originally thought I was going, but all of the reasons after are just incredible. And this is one of those things. And so, to the listener, if you have that gut pull that says there's just something that says you got to go do this, even if you're not sure why, or you're not sure how to make it happen, and you may not even trust what's going on, listen and take some action, because what comes out of it may be far better than anything you can imagine.
Amen to that, sister.
Right? Do you have any parting words, Jane, before we say goodbye today?
Just as you go through your day, remember there are 86,400 seconds in the day. So take a moment, be kind. Be kind.
And breathe.
Just be kind. And
how many seconds, Jane? How many seconds?
86,400 seconds.
Okay, we're make sure we write that down.
But you know what? all of my friends that know me a long time in my family is saying, "Oh God, Jane is so bad with numbers. You better check her." I say
I
it with authority, and I believe it's true. 86,400 seconds.
we're putting it in the comments, so it must be true.
So be
All right,
kind,
Jane.
have hope, and love.
I love it. Jane, thanks for bringing all of that to the world, for being who you are, and for bringing this amazing, fun new deck to all of us and to all the people who get to use it. Like, have so much fun. We would love to, if you, when you order it, show us your cards in the comments. Let us see what you're doing with it.
Yeah, show us your cards.
And with that, just continue to be the amazing souls that you are. And so be bold,
Be brave.
be a rebel. We'll see you soon.